Alright, so welcome to the new video, and this time it is a special car because it's a Mazda 6 20th anniversary, which is celebrating 20 years of Mazda 6 line. So yeah, as you can see, it's a very special car, and this is a very special color. This is a burgundy red. Well, I call it burgundy. I'm not sure, I don't think it's called like that in the configurator if you look at it. But yeah, that's a special color for this car. But other than that, from the outside, it's a normal Mazda 6. So we have a very aerodynamic, elegant and sleek lines. The aerodynamic coefficient of this car is 0.25, which is excellent for what it is. And now it's raining outside, so you can see drops of rain here on these chrome parts, which are under the lights and connecting the lights throughout the front grille, also in the lower part here. So we have 19-inch wheels with the tire size of 225, 45, 19. These are of course typical Mazda used tires, the Mazda 6 Bridgestone Turanza T005A. They are quite okay for the car. So the thing I like about Mazda, they always keep this sort of wheel arch that looks rounded like this, and then we go down here, very elegant, very sleek, very aerodynamic. As you can see also here, it's very slight change in the gradient of the angle, and also if you look at it from side, it's very nicely balanced, the design. So the Mazda 6 in the past was also manufactured as a hatchback, but nowadays it's a sedan. So you have a typical sedan opening for the boot, as you can see, and I really do like it. The boot itself, 480 liters in capacity. Yeah, very usable. Maybe one thing that is missing here are those sort of hooks and 12-volt socket, but that doesn't matter. And the boot itself is just very easy to use. Let's have a look in the back. So what welcomes you is of course a beautiful interior here. You have leather here on the doors, fantastic leather on the seats, and let's have a sit inside. So I'm sitting behind myself. Yeah, it's quite comfortable. It is just enough space for my legs. Let's have a look at the head. I think that's all right as well, even though there is a sloping roofline, so that's quite good. And you have these air vents here for the air conditioning, and you would think, where are the connectors for charging? So have a look here. So this is the armrest, where there is of course heating of the rear seats, some cup holders, but when you open this, there is an additional space. You have two USB-C ports for charging. So yeah, and you have this nice sort of textile in there. So yeah, really great, really usable, and some elegant LED lights in the back. So really nice in the back for traveling. And of course, as you can see, the car is equipped with Bose stereo, as it is always with Mazda. Let's have a look at the business end of the car. And by that I mean the engine. So as you can see, the engine is lying slightly in front of the front axle, and it is a typical top-of-the-range 2.5 liter Skyactiv G, which is a fantastic engine. It also has cylinder deactivation. I think it also runs on the Miller cycle, so it's as efficient as it can be. It has high compression ratio. It's just a great engine. It has 194 horsepower, 258 Newton meters, and as you can see, also it is very easy access for mechanics, so they will be very happy servicing this car. So yeah, but what this car is about is driving, so let's sit inside and let's go for a drive. So the interior of the Mazda 6 is just such a beautiful place to be, and even more in this 20th anniversary edition. This is absolutely exquisite. I would compare this, or I would say that this is probably the most beautiful interior that you can buy in a car that is not like a Bentley or a Rolls-Royce. This is absolutely exquisite. It is actually, I'm gonna tell you, it is better than a Mercedes or BMW. I absolutely love this interior. So it's all about elegance. You don't need ambient lighting here. You don't need huge displays. This is just elegant, very easy to use, very well thought through interior. So there are a few things that I particularly love. So what I love about this special edition, of course, is this sort of suede leather, but it's a real leather that you have here. It's just so beautiful for touch, and you have it everywhere. You have it here on the door. You have it throughout the whole center dashboard. This is just so beautiful to touch. Oh, and the stitching is exquisite. This is absolutely fantastic. Then it's combined with this sort of a black plastic imitation of the wood, but I kind of like it. That is in contrast with these chrome lines around that look very elegant. Then also the plastic here is sort of this black and brownish cappuccino. That's the color. And also the seats. So you have typical leather on the headrest and on the sides, but then this sort of suede leather here in the center of the seat. It is absolutely exquisite to touch. It's beautiful to sit in. It's amazing. And then of course you have this 20th anniversary logo in the headrest. I mean, it's just beautiful. But what this car is about is of course driving. So let's head off and let's go and find some better roads. Okay, so let's go for a drive in this special car. Well, and it is really special. So, you know, it has to be said, Mazda 6, it was always a driver's car. It was always a driver's saloon for, I would say, my feeling is gentlemen drivers who know how to drive and who like to drive a lot, and they just enjoy driving. And also, what turned out throughout the time is that in terms of petrol engine, at least in Europe, Mazda decided to not use a turbo, which maybe for some people is a big thing, is a big negative thing, a negative aspect. But some people are finding and they enjoy not having a turbocharged engine, because it has, as well as its advantages, it has its advantages. So for example, what I feel about this car is that this engine is good in that you want to have this power, you want to have this smoothness, but you don't have to worry about the turbo going in some time, because as some people are not cooling their turbos after driving aggressively. So this engine, you just drive along, and really the only thing you do is an oil service, and that's it. So its reliability is absolutely amazing. And it's not that it wouldn't have enough power. It has 194 horsepower and 258 Newton meters in this form, which is really, really great. I mean, for a naturally aspirated engine, it is great. It does 0 to 100 in 8.1 seconds and top speed of 223, I think, which is really just good enough, I would say, for normal driving. And although on the motorway, if you want to push, or maybe you want to race somebody, you don't have quite the power as you would have with a turbocharged car, it's really not suiting to you, to just race like an idiot with someone. So that's what this car is about. It's about gentleman driving and enjoying the driving in the corners, because Mazdas, as it's known, they have always been very good in the corners. Yeah, the one thing that had changed is that this car has, for quite some time now, has the McPherson in the front and multilink at the back. I remember with the second generation of Mazda 6, it had double wishbone suspension, and it felt really quite sporty, this car. So yeah, that's a change that happened, and it has to be said, the car feels much more on the soft and more comfortable side than that car, but still it does corners very well. The geometry of the wheels is, you have a little bit of negative camber on the front wheel, so it's really happy to go, into the corners, and you just enjoy driving the corners. The steering is very nicely weighted, very precise. You have very good feedback through it. Also the brake pedal. I will quite shortly join a favorite bit of road where I will push the car a little bit. And also the nice thing is that they only give you two choices. So you either drive in normal mode like this, where the car is trying to be as efficient as it can, or you can put it in sports mode, and then the gearbox just puts the RPM up really fast, and when you put your foot down, immediately shift down and it goes. So there's only two ways of driving this car, like a gentleman and having a sporty drive. The gearbox we have here is automatic. It's a 6-speed gearbox, which for some might be a negative thing, because in today's world it's really normal to have 7 or 8 speeds on the automatic transmission. But this car doesn't need that much gears because it's naturally aspirated. It has to be low geared to still have good dynamic, and it does have. So that means, of course, also that on the motorway the engine is doing higher RPM, of course, but that's not a problem. It's just how it is with naturally aspirated engine. So the suspension, as I said, is quite comfortable, yes, but it's still, if you compare it to other competitors, it's on a stiffer side. This car, here is a compression, yeah, very nice. The car wasn't bouncing too much, which is great. It was very, very nicely controlled. So that's a good thing. And now we're going up the steep hill. Yeah, because we have natural aspirated engine, the gearbox just had to downshift a little bit to use the torque more. So now let's put it into sports mode. Now immediately downshift it. Now I put my foot down, 100, 110, 120. So yeah, 194 horsepower is enough with this car. And look at the cornering. So there is very slight roll, but you need a little bit of roll to have the sense of what the car is doing. So it's very natural, I have to say. The braking pedal into the corners, very nice, very nicely weighted as well. You have loads of feedback from it. So that's good. The engine, the best thing about the natural aspirated engine, of course, is its response. It's just amazing how responsive it is. Like you tap the accelerator and immediately there is a response. There is no lag like with the turbo car. That's a great thing. And of course, if you want to use the power and the performance of the natural aspirated car, you need to rev it up all of the time. So yeah, you need to adjust your driving style to that. But other than that, when you slow down like this or drive normally, yeah, it's quite a comfortable car to drive, to be driven. The seats are, I would say, on the softer side, but your back doesn't hurt even after long kilometers in them. In terms of noise, I measured at 130 around 62 decibels. So it's not the quietest of cars that I've tested, but even the 62, 63 decibels is very okay for general talking with your passengers in the car. So that's good. Here is a little bit of a bumpy road, and it absorbs small bumps very nicely. Maybe the one thing that is slight negative is that now this car has 19-inch wheels, which are quite big. Of course, they look good, but of course there is this negative, this disadvantage of having bigger unsprung mass. So that means the wheel is jumping, is bouncing a little bit. So it just feels kind of strange to have this behavior. I mean, I really wouldn't be against smaller wheels. It would be much more comfortable, even better for performance. So here's another section of road. Yeah, very nicely controlled. It's very sharp on the front, and the rear just follows it beautifully. Also a nice thing, listen to the engine. Wow, for a 4-cylinder, it has quite a good sound. It's really nice. In the past generations, the top of the range 2.5 liter was muted a little bit more, so you didn't hear it. and you didn't hear its tone properly, and now you can do, which is nice. When you want to push, it gives you this experience, so it evolves this experience to be even a little bit better. Let's see here. So these are more of flowing corners. Yeah, but you can feel immediately the car just likes to drive. This is very nice. So you have a nice comfortable cruiser on long distances, but when you need to move on, or you just want to enjoy driving on a nice bit of road like this, you can enjoy. And this is what Mazda is about with every model they have. They always try to include this connection of the car and driver, and that's the thing I love about these cars, absolutely. And I also love the simplicity, so they are not going with this sort of advanced technology. You don't have huge displays here. It's just understated elegance. It's just beautiful luxury. It shows that you don't need ambient lighting to feel very comfortable in the car in the night. I don't really miss it here. It is not here, and I don't miss it at any moment. So yeah, and when you just want to calm down, you put it into normal mode, and the gearbox just changes gears at under 2000 RPM, trying to be as effective as it can. When you're doing slower speed but constant speed, it changes the engine into 2-cylinder mode to save some fuel. And the great thing is the fuel consumption. So unless now that I was pushing, I was able to average motorways, city and B roads 6.5 liters. That is absolutely amazing. 2.5 liter engine, and driving it normally for 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Absolutely great. What also helps to this is that the car only weighs 1530 something kilos. 1500 kilo for a mid-size luxury saloon. That's great. I mean, if you would have a comparatively big car like a Skoda Superb or maybe the Passat, these cars, they weigh over 1700 kilos, and this car is 200 kilos lighter than that. So another huge advantage of this car that also helps, as well as the efficiency, as also the cornering and the joy of driving. So yeah, it's a beautiful car, and this special edition celebrating the 20 years of the Mazda 6 is just absolutely beautiful. The materials that they use here in the interior, every time I step inside the interior, I just feel, wow, this is absolutely beautiful. I would love to have this car. I would love to step inside this car every single day, because even though this isn't a car that costs 100,000 euros or more, you just feel so special in it, in this interior. I would say it's the best interior from the normal cars that you can get. I mean, if I look at this beautiful leather, the seats that have ventilation, oh, I mean, it's just amazing. And I also have the sunroof, a small sunroof, not a huge one, to add weight. So yeah, are there any negatives? As I said, there is a lot of likes, and also the price is likable. 48,000 euros for this special edition, really not bad. So do I have any dislikes? Yeah, so the dislike would be those wheels. I really do think, although they look good, I think it's unnecessary to have such heavy unsprung mass, and definitely 18-inch wheels would help, would make this car feel even a little bit more refined. Maybe sometimes, yes, you are missing that you don't have a turbocharged engine, because yeah, sometimes when you're going through a mountain pass with a full car, you feel maybe it lacks power a little bit. It lacks this boost, but then you come back to thinking that you have this car for having a reliable everyday cruiser. So then you think it doesn't matter. So maybe it is, but really, other than that, I don't have much to dislike about this car, because I absolutely adore it. It's really great. It's really well thought through, the layout of the controls. Also, you still have these knobs, not like other manufacturers that get rid of them. So you don't have to touch the screen, even though you can, but you don't have to because you have it here. You have these two rotary buttons. So yeah, really great car. If you're after a mid-size saloon for your travels, for your cruising, definitely you should try this one out, because it's absolutely perfect for what it is. So yeah, that would be it to the Mazda 6 20th anniversary, a special car and a really great car. And keep liking, keep subscribing, because more videos are coming on very soon. And I hope to see you in the very next one. In the meantime, goodbye.